So now let's go to code.
Okay.
So this is our last program. Okay, we had some functions. Okay, and we called these functions here main method. When I say call, okay, I mean like this, mentioning this, okay, function name in the main method followed by these brackets. Okay, so this is what I mean by calling a function. It's called this way. Okay, so how about calling constructor? So let's see how to do it. Here I will create new class. I will call it
Okay. Can you share your screen?
You cannot see my screen?
No, I can't see it.
Oh, sorry. Why you didn't mention? You had to tell me. I'm talking. I thought you can see my screen. It's okay. No problem.
Phone calls, no matter who is calling.
Now, can you share my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see you now. Yep.
Okay, great. So I was telling you, here we have some methods, and we called these methods in our main. So this is the way to call a method, okay? Like mentioning the name, the brackets, semicolon, all, okay? What about calling constructor? Let's see how to do it. For this, I will create a new class. I will call it constructor. Example. Okay. In this constructor example class, I will not put a main method, but I will put some functionalities and attributes. Better to change this name from constructor example to make it more meaningful name. So let's make it student. Employee. Just delete this class. Create a new class called employee. Okay. In this employee, I will put string name. Okay. And ID. Okay. These are attributes, or let's say it's properties. Now let's create a constructor. So how to create a constructor? I told you we have a set of instructions that we should maintain to create a constructor. What are these? First, we should make our constructor public. Okay. Then there is no return type for our constructor. Third, constructor name should be exactly the same as class name. So I will just copy my class name and I put my constructor name like that. Okay, then the rest are the same as normal functions. Like here, I will put two normal brackets. Then the body of this constructor will be like this, two curly brackets. This way, I just like created my constructor. So here, if I go to my main class, here, if I try to create an object of this employee, okay, I will do like this. Employee in EM equal new employee. You see this part?
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
Once I call the new keyword followed by my class name employee, this means I called the constructor. Look, when I click here on this employee, okay, I just jump to my constructor, okay? This means I just created a new object of my employee class, okay? Then I can normally use my imp object to access the members of this class, which are the name. I have a name like this. I can say name is Cody and imp dot id equal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So this way I created a new object of my employee class. Okay. And of course, when I called this employee, it's called the constructor of the employee class. Okay, which made me able to create this object or any other object from this employee class. After creating the object, I'm able to access these members' name and ID and then give them some values. Okay? Okay, great. What if I delete this employee constructor? What will happen?
You delete that.
Yeah, I just delete this. Like this. What will happen?
Or a default one will come.
Yeah, as I go back to my main method, I see my code didn't get affected. Why? Because when I have no constructor in my class, there is a hidden default constructor created for me by the Java compiler, which is here still used in my main method. So yes, this one now referring to my class employee, it's a default constructor. I didn't create it, it's created for me. It's hidden, I cannot see it, but it exists and still I can use it to create new objects. Okay? Okay, great. But as you can see, this default constructor is always empty. Now I have name in employee and ID. What if I want to force the user or the programmer or whatever to initialize or to give values to this name and ID once you create the object? Like here, when you create your object from employee, it's optional to you to give values to this name and ID. Like for example, I can delete this imp.id. So here I have an object, okay, called imp with a value for name Cody, but it doesn't have an ID. Nothing forced me to give a name and ID to this employee or to this object. So what can I do to solve this problem? I will do it inside the constructor, because constructor is the first thing called, okay, when we create a new object from class. Like, as you can see, once we create this object, first thing is called is the employee constructor. So I want to use this constructor while creating the object. I want to force the user to give values to the name and the ID. How to do this? I can give some parameters to my constructor, because at the end, constructor is still a function. It's a special type of function, but it's still a function. So I can give parameters to my constructor. So here, I will give parameter 1 name, okay, and parameter 2 ID. Then I want to set this name to the employee name and this ID to this employee ID. How to do it? I will say this dot name equal
Equals
and this dot ID equals ID. Do you have any idea about the keyword this?
It just means this, right? It just means this.
This refers to this class
Okay, employee.
where
This
I
means
am in right now. So this now refers to employee. So when I say this dot name, as if I'm saying the name inside employee, the class where I am in right now.
Oh, okay.
So this dot name referring to this one equal to name, the parameter coming in my constructor. Because as you can see, this name and this name are all, like, both of them are the same. N-A-M-E, N-A-M-E. So how to differentiate between this one and this one? We do it using the keyword this. When I say this dot name, I'm referring to this one, the one which is a member of the employee class. Okay, but name only is the parameter of the constructor. You understand?
Yes.
Okay, but as you can see, it gives me an error. Why? Do you know why? Telling me one related problem. What is this related problem? Problem could be. Because when I go back to my main method, I'm trying to call this constructor, okay, to create this employee object, but here I'm not giving any values for the name and ID. So here I should give name, Cody, and ID is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there is a label here to identify this value as a name, this one for ID. This line is useless. I can delete it. This way, I forced the user every time you create a new object of the employee, you should pass a name and ID to this employee. Like if I want to create 2 more objects in 2, in 3, I cannot do this without passing name and ID. Like here, I can say employee 2321 and employee 3. This way, every time I create a new object from this employee class, I have to pass a name and ID to the constructor. So now I have no way to have an object without values for the name and the ID. You understand?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. In our class employee, is it possible to create one more constructor?
The class. Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, you can do that.
Yes, we can have unlimited number of constructors in our class, but they should differ from each other. Like here, I have a constructor called which has two parameters, string name and int ID. Here, if I copy these lines and I try to create again a second employee constructor with exactly the same parameters, string name, int ID, it gives me an error because this constructor is similar to the first one. So I need to have a change between the second and the first constructor. For example, I may need only name as a mandatory field for the employee, and ID is not really important, so I can delete the ID. Here, there is a difference between the first constructor and the second one. Now the error is gone. Okay? The same could be done for the ID, like this way. I will delete the name and only keep the ID.
Okay.
So when I go back to main class, okay. Now, which one the compiler use when I pass two values like this? First is string, second is ID. It will use the first one because the first one accepts two parameters. First is a string, second is integer. Okay. When I go for employee 2, okay, and I remove this ID and I keep only the name. So which constructor is used in this case? Brother, which one?
I'm looking for
The second one.
the second one. Yeah, that's the
Yes,
second.
this second one only accepts a string called name and accepts nothing more. Exactly the same as this value employee 2. So the compiler is smart enough to know that I'm using the second constructor. Okay?
Where
Again,
does it know that?
here in the imp3 employee, if I remove this name and I keep only the ID, okay, it identifies that I'm using the last constructor, which holds only the ID. Okay, you understand?
Yeah, I think I understand. Yeah.
Okay. One more point I want to mention. We said a while ago that we have a default constructor. Default constructor for each class, which is empty constructor. Okay. Now I'm trying to use it and it gives me an error. Why?
It's giving you an error because you didn't put any declarations in.
This default constructor is gone, cannot be used, okay, because I already declared some constructors here in this class. This default constructor can be only used if this employee class has no constructor at all. But once you create your own constructor in this class, you cannot use the default constructor anymore. You understand? If you still need it, you can do it your own. Like here, you can say public employee and then like this empty constructor. Constructor. Okay. Now if I go back to my main class, now the error is gone. It identifies that I have now an empty constructor in my employee class that can be used. Okay. You understand?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay, great. So here in my empty constructor, yeah, I don't take any parameters here in this constructor, but I still can do some logic here in this body. Like here, I can say, hello, this is an empty constructor. The same I can do, okay, for this constructor, for example. I can say, hello, this constructor accepts only an ID. Shall we try?
Yes.
Okay, so here I will just comment all this so we'll not get confused, and I will run.
So that
So then I get, hello, this constructor accepts only an ID here, like this line, when we call this line, when we reach this line, okay, it calls the constructor that accepts only integer as an ID. So here, when this constructor is called, the ID I passed, the value I passed, this argument 765, okay, is set to the ID here in the employee class, this one, okay, and then it printed this line, hello, this constructor accepts only ID. You understand?
yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah. After that, when it moved to the next line of execution, it's an empty constructor. So it's called and this line got printed. Hello, this is an empty constructor. You understand?
Yeah, empty constructors. Okay.
Uh, you were curious about the overloading, you know? Remember the overloading when you asked me?
Method overloading. Yeah.
Yeah, so what we just did is part of the overloading, okay? But we will discuss overloading in more details in the coming sessions, okay?
Hmm.
Okay, great. So do you have any question about constructor?
So yeah, we don't need to have a parameter. We don't need a parameter, right?
Here, for example, you don't need a parameter. It depends on you as a programmer to decide how many constructors you need and how many parameters you will pass to each constructor. Just know that each constructor should be different from the others. Like here, I have 4 constructors, but each one of them is unique. Like this constructor accepts 2 parameters, one of type string and another of type integer. This constructor has only one string parameter. This one has only integer parameter. This one has no parameters at all, is empty. Okay, I just added this print line in this constructor. It depends on you.
Can you return? Can you return
It's
return
up to you.
object?
And of course, as you can see, there is no return type for any constructor. We only use the public keyword and then the constructor name, exactly the same as class name, and then 2 brackets. It's up to you to put parameters or not in between these 2 brackets. And then we have the constructor body. And in this constructor body, you should put a logic that you want it to get executed at first thing at the time of creating new objects of this class. Because this constructor is the first one called while creating a new object of that class. That is the big advantage of constructor. You can control which logic will get executed at the time of creating objects.
Okay.
Okay,
So yeah. Employee. Okay. Employee. Yeah, that's the main. Okay.
let's brief what we just said. Class can have unlimited number of constructors. Each constructor should be unique. Code in the constructor get executed at the time of creating a new object of the class. Oh, what else? default constructor can be used only if there is no any other constructor in the class. Constructor should be exactly as the class name. Yes, I'm done. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, what if you need default constructor can all be used? How if you have two constructors with the same parameters? Two constructors that you want to have the same parameters.
No, you cannot do it. Like here I have two employee constructor. One has string and ID, another one has only string. What if I say int x? At once I get an error because now the compiler cannot differentiate between this one and this one. All of them are constructors of the same class. All of them accept two parameters, and all of them has the same data types of the two parameters. Name and ID, name and ID.
Mm-hmm.
So there is no way for the compiler to differentiate between two constructors. So you as a programmer, you cannot achieve this. You should
There's no
make
way.
a change.
No way.
No way. You should make a change to this constructor or delete it all. But each and every one should be different from all others. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
When I mean different by number of parameters or data type of parameters. Let me explain here. Unique means constructor with different number of parameters or different data type of parameters. Okay, what else?
Unique. That's it, I think. That's all the questions. It has to be different, I guess. It has to
Yes,
be different.
it has to be different. All of them has the same name, exactly as class name. But about the parameters should be different.
Parameters.
Either by number of parameters or if they share the same number of parameters. So data type of parameters should be different.
Okay.
But
That makes sense.
you cannot make two constructors with the same number of parameters and the same data type of parameters. Not possible.
You can't change. You can change your name though, right? Same parameter, same data type, but different name.
No, it's not gonna work.
Okay.
Like this one is called name. This one I call it B.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not gonna work. It's working now because this is the only constructor has a string, but let me copy like this. And this, I make it B. It's a problem. Because for me, in main method, when I create this object, okay, I don't care about the naming of the parameter, whether it's, name or B or whatever. This name or B, it differs here in the constructor. Like, as you can see here, B or name or whatever, it matters in the constructor body. It's get used, okay? But in the outside world here, when I try to create a new object for the employee constructor, I don't care about what's the name of the parameter. I care about the data type of the parameter. You understand?
Yeah, the data type is more important.
Yes, the data type is more important. So yeah, let's use this one. Now I get everything working. No, okay. What else? What else? You don't have any no more questions?
I think that's all of them.
Okay, no problem. Anyway, take your time reviewing this information we discussed today. Okay, I will be
I'll do a
waiting for
review.
you tomorrow to do some code practice together. Okay. Until that time, if you have any question you remembered, please feel free to send me this question. I will
Okay.
answer you whenever possible.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll do a review. I'll do a more review.
Yeah, you should do review. Okay, so all this information will stick in your head.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, great. So yeah, that's all for today. And see you tomorrow, the next
Yes,
session.
you. Thank you so much. By the way, thank you.
You are most welcome. Have a nice
And
day.
we'll discuss about the
Yeah,